Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to explore one of the most transformative periods in human history, the origins of Islam. Today, Islam is the world's second largest religion, with over 2 billion followers globally. To truly understand how this faith began, we have to travel back in time to the 7th century Common Era. We must look at the unique environment of the Arabian Peninsula. In the centuries before Islam, this region was a harsh, vast desert landscape. Yet, it was home to a vibrant, thriving society. At the very center of this world was the city of Mecca. Mecca was not just an ordinary desert oasis, it was a major international hub for trade and commerce. It sat strategically at the crossroads of lucrative caravan routes. These routes connected the wealthy markets of the Mediterranean with the Indian Ocean. Every year, massive merchant caravans passed through, carrying spices, silks, and perfumes. Life in pre-Islamic Arabia was defined by a period that later Islamic tradition calls Jahiliyyah. This term translates to the age of ignorance or the age of lawlessness. There was no centralized government, no king, and no unified legal system. Instead, security, law, and basic survival depended entirely on tribal loyalty. If you did not belong to a powerful tribe or a dominant family, you had no protection. In Mecca, the absolute rulers of this tribal hierarchy were the Quraysh. They were a powerful, wealthy merchant clan who controlled both the economy and the local religion. And religion was deeply intertwined with commerce. While some Christian and Jewish communities lived across the peninsula, the vast majority of Arabs practiced polytheism. They worshipped hundreds of different tribal gods. The center of this worship was a remarkable structure located in the heart of Makkah, the Kaaba. The Kaaba was an ancient, cube-shaped sanctuary. According to Islamic belief, it had originally been built by the Prophet Abraham and his son Ishmael for the worship of the one true God. However, by the 7th century, it had been filled with 360 different idols. Each idol represented a different tribal deity. This made Mecca a massive pilgrimage site, bringing immense wealth to the Quraysh tribe. The early life of Muhammad, it was into this highly commercialized, deeply divided and tribal society that Muhammad ibn Abdullah was born, in the city of Mecca, around the year 570 Common Era. From the very beginning, Muhammad's life was marked by deep personal loss. His father passed away before he was even born. When he was just 6 years old, his mother also passed away, leaving him completely orphaned. In a society that valued tribal lineage and parental protection above all else, being an orphan was a position of extreme vulnerability. Fortunately, he was taken in first by his grandfather and later by his influential uncle, Abu Talib. Abu Talib was a leader within the Quraysh tribe, and he provided the young Muhammad with vital protection within the fierce tribal system. Al-Amin and marriage to Khadija as Muhammad grew into a young man, he began working as a shepherd, and later as a merchant managing trade caravans. In a business world often driven by greed and corruption, Muhammad stood out completely. He gained a widespread reputation for absolute integrity, fair dealing, and unshakable honesty. Because of this, the people of Mecca gave him an honorary title. They called him Al-Amin, an Arabic phrase meaning the trustworthy. His exceptional character eventually caught the attention of a wealthy, highly successful and independent businesswoman named Khadija. Khadija hired Muhammad to manage her extensive trade caravans traveling north to Syria. She was so impressed by his honesty, his skill, and his noble character that she eventually proposed marriage to him. Muhammad accepted, and their marriage became a deeply loving, mutually supportive partnership. This marriage brought Muhammad financial stability, but his mind remained focused on deeper spiritual matters. The spiritual crisis and cave of Hira. Despite his newly comfortable life and his high standing in society, Muhammad grew increasingly troubled. He looked around Mecca and saw a profound moral vacuum. He saw a widening, unjust gap between the wealthy merchants and the desperate poor. He witnessed the rampant mistreatment of orphans, widows, and vulnerable women. He felt a deep spiritual emptiness in the constant worship of stone idols. To find clarity, Muhammad began taking long walks into the rugged mountains just outside Mecca. He began spending weeks at a time in absolute solitude and intense meditation. His favorite retreat was a small, quiet cave called Hira, located near the top of Jabal an-Nur, which means the mountain of light. It was in this cave, in the year 610 Common Era, when Muhammad was 40 years old, that his life and human history changed forever. The first revelation. According to Islamic tradition, during the quiet, holy month of Ramadan, a terrifying and majestic presence appeared to Muhammad in the darkness of the cave. It was the angel Gabriel, known in Arabic as Jibril. The angel looked at Muhammad and gave him a sharp, sudden command, recite. Muhammad, who was completely illiterate and could neither read nor write, trembled with fear. He replied, I cannot recite. The angel embraced him tightly, almost crushing him, and repeated the command a second time, recite. Again Muhammad replied, I cannot recite. The angel embraced him a third time, then released him and delivered the very first verses of what would become the Quran. Recite in the name of your Lord who created man from a clinging clot. Recite. And your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man that which he knew not. This historic event is commemorated by Muslims every year as Laylat al-Qadr, or the Night of Power. It marked the definitive beginning of the Quranic revelations, which would continue to come to Muhammad piecemeal over the next 23 years. The Meccan message, terrified and shaking from this intense experience, Muhammad rushed home to his wife, Khadija. He wrapped himself in a blanket, fearing he was losing his mind, but Khadija comforted him. She reminded him of his goodness and honesty, and she became the very first person to believe in his message and convert to Islam. Soon, Muhammad received further revelations instructing him to take this divine message to the public. The core of his message was simple, yet utterly revolutionary for Arabia. It was the message of Tawhid, absolute monotheism. He preached that there is no God but Allah, and that he, Muhammad, was simply a human messenger, the final prophet in a long line of prophets that include Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Furthermore, he declared that all human beings are completely equal for God, and he loudly condemned the social injustices of the Meccan elite, persecution in Mecca. This message of equality and monotheism did not sit well with the ruling Quraysh tribe. In fact, they saw it as an existential threat. If there was only one God, then 360 idols in the Kaaba were completely worthless. This threatened to destroy the highly lucrative pilgrim trade that fueled the Meccan economy. Furthermore, Muhammad's message that a wealthy master and a poor slave were completely equal in the eyes of God directly challenged the strict tribal hierarchies that kept the Quraysh in power. The ruling elite retaliated fiercely. They launched a campaign of brutal persecution against the early Muslim community. They subjected them to severe economic boycotts, forbidding anyone from trading with or marrying them. The poorest Muslims, especially those who were slaves, were publicly tortured and even killed. Yet, despite the intense pressure and suffering, the small community of believers stood firm, sustained by their faith. The critical turning point. By the year 622 Common Era, life for the Muslims in Mecca had become completely untenable. To make matters worse, Muhammad suffered two devastating personal losses in a single year. His beloved wife Khadija passed away, and shortly after, his protective uncle Abu Talib also died. With Abu Talib gone, Muhammad lost his tribal protection, and the Quraysh actively began plotting his assassination. It was during this dark moment that an unexpected lifeline appeared from the north. A delegation of tribal leaders from an agricultural oasis called Yathrib, located 200 miles north of Mecca, traveled to meet Muhammad. Yathrib was a city torn apart by bitter, bloody tribal civil wars. They had heard of Muhammad's reputation as Al-Amin, the trustworthy one. They invited him to move to their city to serve as a neutral, wise mediator to bring peace to their people. In return, they promised to accept Islam and protect him and his followers. The Hijrah and the birth of Medina, Muhammad accepted the offer. In small, secret groups, the Muslims of Mecca quietly packed their few belongings and slipped away into the desert night, migrating north to Yathrib. Muhammad himself barely escaped an assassination attempt, slipping out of Mecca just as the assassins surrounded his home. This historic migration is known as the Hijrah. The Hijrah is the absolute turning point in the history of Islam. It marks the moment where Islam transitioned from a persecuted, fragile religious minority into a unified, autonomous political and social community, the Ummah. Because of its monumental significance, the year of the Hijrah 622 Common Era marks year 1 of the Islamic lunar calendar. Upon arriving, the city of Yathrib was renamed Madinat al-Nabi, meaning the city of Prophet, or simply Medina. Here Muhammad drafted the Constitution of Medina, a historic document that united the warring tribes, protected the religious rights of Jewish and pagan communities, and laid the secure, unshakable foundations for a faith that would rapidly spread across the globe. Thank you very much for your time.